Hey, hi everybody. Hi, Melanie.
Hello.
What a show we have for today. Down in the green room is none other than Roman Gottfried, the founder of Roman's Holistic Dog Training. He gives classes. He writes articles. He does everything based on science and what science believes at the time. All right, and it just gets better and better and better. And he's got something that a lot of people don't realize or think is a bad word, and that's called empathy. Okay, and and he's just amazing. But before we get to Roman, we got some news. We have some adoptions, don't we? Anna, GPRS Anna has been adopted. Jen has been adopted.
Mm-hmm.
Peanut with Great Pyrenees Rescue Resources, Utah, Montana, has been adopted. Okay, Peanut, isn't that amazing?
Awesome.
So, yeah, Roman worked with Peanut also. So, but we're not going to waste any more time. Roman released an article with the topic of Great Pyrenees livestock guardian breeds are not plug and play.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is probably my favorite article that he's written. So, without further ado, hi Roman.
Hi guys.
All right, so um, I really loved your LGDs are not plug and play article. I just love that to death. All right. Um, but that also falls into the same category. It covers your topic, what the Great Pyrenees are and what they aren't.
Mm-hmm.
And we run into a lot of problems sometimes with adopters, some fosters that expectations are just kind of off center a little bit, maybe.
Hi. Very true. I would agree. I mean, as puppies, they're stinking cute. All
Yes.
right. There's the Pyrenees, the Husky, the Cane Corsos. They're kind of like, that's it. Me or the puppy kind of thing.
Now,
But
the Cane Corso. Let's talk about the Cane Corso for a second. That's kind of your breed of choice, isn't it? Or at
yeah,
least it used to be.
no, it is. I mean, I'm I'm not a breed fanatic,
Right.
but I
Right.
do love the breed. I like
Yeah.
them being sporty. I like them being dedicated. They're kind of very true, very
Mhm.
easily bonding. And
Yeah.
it's not so far away from the Guardian breeds,
Mm-hmm.
right?
But what have I been? What have I harassed you with over the years since your breed of choice is Cane Corso? I'll tell Roman. I said you need mental assistance. They're not an easy breed, but once you understand them, they can be right.
Yeah. It's if you start very early, just with Guardian breeds, you have to start early socialization,
Yeah.
bonding. They are basically relationship based partners. And once you set it right, they are as smart as young kids, like 5 year olds. They have logic in that concept of, an animal having logic. He needs to understand why it's happening instead of just doing it because I told you so. It's like, no, I don't know why I should do that. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not doing it.
Right. That's right. Absolutely. It's got to make sense to them to do it.
Right, right.
And also, the number one thing you got to remember when you're asking your LGD to do something for you, they have to understand what it is you want them to do. That's kind of important too.
Yeah, it is. Now, I see very often that people get confused with what's being out there. You have to be the boss, you have to be the leader, you have to be that, you have to be this. It's kind of put people in a framework that is not real. That
I
framework
agree.
is it's an illusion. It's really not real. Not in science, not with wolves, not with crocodiles. It's nowhere. And it
Yeah.
was so off back in the 60s that basically people said, well, we have no scientific evidence, so we let it go.
Yeah.
But
Well, also too, think about this for a second. Strong leadership. I think the breed are strong leaders when it comes to the Great Pyrenees, livestock guardian breeds in general. That takes leadership to do what they do, but there's also something that's required. It's called partnership.
that this cooperation that are so good doing I wouldn't say it's leadership. They're just aware of what the purpose is. So they're strong on having a purpose. So our goal as partners is to create that purpose that fits our mindset, right? So if a guardian would do his own thing, right, he will just be with his family and making sure everybody's safe. Now we
That's
want
right.
them to see their family as our sheep and goats and horses and donkeys and alpacas, whatever. We want to make sure that they understand what it is about. So what we have to do is we have to expand the mindset of family. Family is not you and your family; it's our awesome our family and this kind of family. But that principle of what considered family for the guardian breeds is
Mhm.
the ones that I'm living with,
That's right.
right?
But you also got to, we sometimes can lose sight of something. And I've seen some of the people, even in the force free community, can lose sight of this if they don't have breed knowledge, for example, that they are still dogs.
Yeah, so we have species dog, guardian breed,
Mhm.
individual. So we have to see that hierarchy. Behaves like a dog, thinks like a dog, does like a dog, lives like a dog, looks like a dog. And then we have the breed. He's being bred to do certain things, but it doesn't
Yeah,
mean because he was bred to, he's going to actually do it.
that's right.
Because
That's
breed
right.
genetics is, for example, if we take it the human aspect, is service to others. It's a breed trait, right?
Right.
Now, you
Right.
can have different types of service to others function. You can be a priest, you can be a police officer, you can be a gang member. It's also service to others, right?
Hmm.
But how it expresses it depends also how the family environment looks like. In that
That's right.
case, creating that family also creates, let's call it, I'm not saying it because people are gonna freak out, but there is a sense of justice. There's a sense of right and wrong, right? And
Well,
so
but
it
dogs don't know that wrong part. Dogs
no,
believe
from
everything they're doing is right.
right, because from our perspective is the wrong. From them, they understand what's right. However, they do have an understanding of purpose and what expectations are. And so these ritualistic behaviors they have, right, to create that balance in their family system is being aware of how the other one feels like with the things I do and how it affects
That's
me.
right.
So if I do something that somebody feels offended by and I'm aware what I just did, I can fix it because I don't want to have a conflict.
Right. And also, a dog can respond differently to the same action, okay, or to the same thing that we do. A dog is capable of responding differently because of what he remembers worked last time, okay, which is brings the point I'm trying to bring up is when the rescue places a dog, that foster home or the people at the facility, whatever, they know how the dog's responding to certain different scenarios throughout the life. And so they know what your personality is because they're learning about you through the application process. So now they are, just because you fell in love with the picture of a dog doesn't mean that dog's going to fit in your home. And
Right.
the rescues are very, very good at finding that dog that responds to the way that your personality is and then placing that dog there.
Right. But I have
Yeah.
to we have to be aware that the rescues, if they do it right, which the rescues that you work with know how to do it right, we're not
Yep.
matching somebody who needs a dog and a dog needs a home. It just not fit
Right.
like that. But we have to see what temperament we have, what the family system looks like. If that dog is very sensitive to environmental triggers, it's difficult to put the dog in a place where kids are screaming, yelling, and having birthday parties next to the swimming pool.
That's
Right?
right.
That's, and I know, no, I don't
That's
care
right.
how high your fence is and how experienced you are with dogs. That is not the proper environment for that particular dog because we know how the dog functions, and that's not a nice place. And
Right.
it's like 90% accuracy, right? And people get confused because they blame the rescue. No, no, the rescue
Right.
is not
And
wrong, right?
make Yeah, and make no mistake, a breed specific rescue, and we have a few of them for the Great Pyrenees, sadly. Not sad because they're rescued, sadly because they're required.
Mhm.
Okay. And so they've learned a lot about their breed. Okay. And so you got to trust them. You got to trust the rescues. Okay. Can they make mistakes? Absolutely. That's called being human. But they recover quite nicely from any mistakes I've seen them make. So
Yeah.
anyway, back to the no plug and play and what they are and what they aren't. All right. I didn't mean to distract us, Roman, but hey, some things have to be said. So the floor is yours.
Wow, that's a big floor here. Okay,
You're not nervous, are you?
Of course I am. I'm always nervous. Well, let's start with guardian breeds are different because they were bred, they were evolved for the last 6,000 years.
Or more.
Right? And I'm not talking about the Great Pyrenees. I'm talking about the
Right,
guardian
right.
breeds, right?
Right.
So
Guardian breeds
we
in
have
general.
scientific evidence because they were mentioned, but we also can see, even if they're not being mentioned, we can see the history writes a story. So the moment the people went out of the ice age and start building like more local homes and start creating their food, right? They had to protect food they had. And in that process, while dogs came with us, it seems there's some breeds that were better at protecting and some other breeds were better for hunting. So we noticed that very early in time we had two splits. The hunters, they were easy to leave and return, and the protectors who used to stay and not leave. And that is what makes a difference, because we need a dog who stays and doesn't walk off because he saw something flying or running, right? But as the hunters and gatherers, we also need a dogs who join us to the hunt, who goes and hunt and return back to us and share the food. And we see then back then the necessity of having a dog who stays put and a dog who goes out and comes back again. So we create those categories, hunting and guarding. And that's where we have to focus right now, because the guardian breeds have been evolved on their own in the family system they were with. Not because they were cute, because they know how to function. And then more and more what happened. And what happened when once you have two dogs or three dogs together in a group that performs, those puppies who are born learn from observing what the parents do and the siblings. It's kind of like a real-time school 24/7. Now, with hunters, it's not so easy because you have losses. Hunting dogs get in fights, right? Now, when we see that we have guarding dogs, we also see that we have a problem of restricting. How far can the dog guard around? And we notice that guarding dogs have different levels of guarding areas.
That's right. That's very important. Yes.
Right? The nearby area, which means the family, in that case the livestock, and the outer area, which is the property. So we have those two type of guardian breeds. The one who is like nearby, and the other one is further out. Now, how further out depends on the boundaries.
Right. Well, the boundaries. Absolutely right. One of the formulas that determines how many dogs you have is the size of the boundaries.
Right. Now, how many dogs do we need to form that boundary? I would say 3 is the good number small. Why? Because we have 2 partners who are working and 1 who's resting. If you have 4 dogs, you have 2 dogs who are resting and 2 dogs who are on the front. And if necessary, they can chime in. Now, is this a formula that is on stone? No. But we see the dogs are working in dyads. The one who knows the job and the other one who follows the job. It doesn't mean the one who does the job is the leader. It's just he knows more, and therefore the other one will learn from it. And then the other ones are observers. So you have 2 dogs in the front, and you have the mother in the back with the puppies, and you have other siblings that work with it. There is a continuous conveyor belt of information flow, and those dogs learn from each other. The more they see effective, the more they will learn from that. And this is where then comes in where people says, well, I can then adopt a puppy and then it becomes my guardian breed. No, because that was the plug and play system. If I get a child that was born by a police officer and a nurse, what will the child become if I take away the parents? So we can say from genetics predisposition, the father is justice and the mother is service to others. Okay, the puppy is then, in that case, the baby is a justice service to others.
Okay, but I have a question then.
Mhm.
I'll be the devil's advocate. But they've been bred for thousands of years to be guardians. Isn't that instinctual?
Yes, it's instinctual to be very sensitive to environmental triggers, very sensitive to not forget about things, very sensitive to not forget for a very long time about things, dare to express their feelings very loud and clear so everybody knows about it, right? And not backing away from the job.
And
That's
they
a great trait.
intimidate.
Right.
They
but that's a great
intimidate.
trait. But
Right.
how to do it and to whom to do that and when to do that and which tactic to apply, that's a learned behavior.
That's right.
Right?
That's very
Because
important to know too.
Right. So even if we go down to human, even if my mother is a police officer, my mom is a police officer, and my uncle is a police officer, doesn't make me a police officer? No, I will not pass the academy. Why? Because I'm lazy.
Yeah. There you go.
Right.
And we got some dogs that they just don't want to go out in the fields. Okay.
Right. Some dogs.
Now we got to make a distinction here, maybe that some people may not be aware of. Great Pyrenees versus Pyrenean Mountain Dog or Pyrenean Shepherd, whatever you want to talk about. Is it true that Great Pyrenees? Well, it's not. Is it true? It's documented that the Great Pyrenees is only called the Great Pyrenees in this country. Okay. All right, and by now they've branched out to other countries, maybe Canada, Mexico, whatever. But initially in France, they were called the Pyrenean Mountain Dog or the Pyrenean Shepherd. Yeah,
Patou. The French call them Patou.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. The Maremma Sheepdog of Italy, I can't even pronounce what they call them.
Yeah, the Greek guardian breeds, they call them Elinikos Pimenikos. Sounds Greek to me too.
Now let's talk about that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
The Greek guardian dogs, believe it or not, that's older than the Great Pyrenees. Okay, or the Pyrenean Shepherd, Pyrenean Mountain Dog, because we have evidence now of 13,000 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, that's just evidence, not published yet, but that's what Roman was talking about earlier. And the documented evidence we have is 1800 BC. Well, naturally, 13,000 years goes well beyond that. So let's talk about that Greek dog that's got an influence on the livestock guardian breeds.
From what I could gather, we know that the tribe of Molossers, the Molosser tribe in the area of Greece, had guardian breeds to protect. And imagine back then the people were not just soldiers, there was no communities, and there were just individual people who lived in small areas who had sheep and goats. And many of them were organized, and the one of which was the king of this organization, and that tribe, it was King Molosser. Molosser king, Molosser breed. So this king was figured out that having those breeds trained made them better guardian breeds. And he also found out that if you train them a certain way, they can also protect you as a person. And since those tribes had to protect themselves from other intrusions, they used also the dog for personal protection.
So human interaction is not new with these breeds.
No, it was actually very in tune. So the other part that King Molosser did was he was so influential. He says, all my allies, I'm going to give them a gift. I give them a dog that I trained for them. Like have an Italian friend and give him a Maserati, right?
And believe it or not, that's how the first known Pyrenean mountain dogs came to this country. They were a gift.
They were a gift and were transported by the Romans up north.
And it was Skinner was his name, but not B.F. Skinner, the scientist. It was Skinner, the author.
Hmm.
back in the early 1800s.
So from there, it was kind of a common sense to have a personal protection dog. So that is also the hierarchy of your val- value. So for you to have a dog was good. For you to have a dog and a horse was better. Having a dog and a horse and a servant was even better. You must have been a king to have all those things together. And here we have Alexander the Great, who had also guardian breeds, and all his officers had guardian breeds. And as he
And
went
that's
up to north,
documented.
right, and when he's going east and north and west to his empires, Alexandria's, he had each individual officers equipped with a guardian breed. And as these officers were left behind to protect them, for them to return from their expansion, to find them officers back again and supply and food, those dogs start mating with other dogs in the area. And since the Molosser breeds were big dogs, all of a sudden we have an area where these big dogs happened, including up to China. Now we're losing here a little bit information who was first there. Were
Right.
the mastiffs also there and they met with our mastiffs? Or what exactly happened, we don't know, but we know that the mastiffs were spread around through Alexander the
That's
Great.
right. They got a lot of different models because of that, a lot of different names
Right,
because of
right.
that, and appearances are different too.
Exactly. But the Molosser had the size that we needed.
Right.
Now, how the
Right.
Molosses got to the size, there's another story that goes back to the people from Atlas Mountain Range, which is up North Africa, that says these
Mhm.
dogs were really, really big, like Great Dane big, and they start spreading, but they were not so strong breed because they were
But
too
wait a
big.
minute. Now we're down in Africa.
Oops,
Yeah. Wow.
right?
So
So
this is
we,
getting
we,
interesting.
we can say that eventually the guardian breeds that we know now, the size, came from Africa and mate with other local dogs, and that
Yep.
would become later the Molosser breed.
Now the mating with other local dogs, was that intentional or not? We don't have documentation for
We
that.
know dogs what they do. They see an opportunity, they just hump it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they just like to go out and play.
But we know from the Egyptians and from the Greek, they was specifically making sure they're not being bred off because they knew if you bred things around, it's gonna come back to you at some point.
Unlike breeding today, they actually knew what they wanted
They had
and they
very good
worked
knowledge
hard
about
to achieve it. Okay.
they had good knowledge about breeding.
Yeah.
They were aware of that.
Yep.
It seems they had more knowledge than we do for some reason. They knew about the stars and constellations. They
Yeah.
talked about genetics and atoms. The ancient Greek talks about atoms, so they knew
And
things.
they didn't have the science back then either.
It seems
They were just good,
they had
smart
wisdom.
people.
They had wisdom.
Yes. 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 I like that. So now, how is it said that France is the birthplace of the Pyrenean mountain dog, Pyrenean shepherd, however you want to call them?
Well, because we
How
have the
did that come?
Pyrenees mountains in France, and we have the white
No, they
dogs.
don't. They have the Pyrenean mountain range.
Yeah,
That's not Pyrenees mountain. That's Pyrenean mountain range.
right. The Pyrenean mountain range, and
Right.
then well, nice fluffy dogs live there. Pyrenees mountain dogs.
Right. Here's the thing. They weren't in this country. We've got limited documentation. We know that the first two Pyrenees came in from king or queen, one of the emperors of, or one of the leaders of France. I can't remember which one, and was a gift. Two of them were a gift to an author who wrote a book called "A Sportsman and His Dogs," I think was the title of the book. First documentation from this country. They were still called the Pyrenean Shepherd. All right. Then somewhere along in that range between 1802 and 1865 was the first documentation that we saw with photographs that related to them as Great Pyrenees. So if you think about it that way, the United States of America is the birthplace of the Great Pyrenees.
Sounds great. Like the Australian Shepherd is not really from Australia.
No. The Australian cattle dog is, but not the
Right.
Australian Shepherd. Yeah. Now we got a little bit of history. So they're smart dogs. Everybody knows how intelligent the breeds are. We've got, as livestock guardian breeds, let's just touch on a few. We've got the Great Pyrenees, we've got the Akbash, we got the Kangal, we got the Maremma sheepdog, we got the Kubas. All right. So each one of them do a job a little bit differently, don't they?
Well, we have to see the environment they're working.
Well, there's a lot of variables here, not just throw them into a field here, they do a job, and you go 1,000 miles away and throw them in that field, and they're going to be lost, maybe.
Right, right. So we see that over time they had these region adjustments and the needs of the people and the temperature and the environment and the predators. All these come together to make form a more adjusted breed to the location, right? So, but we have to see that even though that guardian breeds, they have little different ways of functioning because there were different type of needs. Like in France, for example, we have very populated area, so we needed a friendly dog who's not aggressive to people, but he needs to be aggressive to predators. In other areas, if we go more in the Middle East, we don't have any people. Basically, there's nothing there except of predators and food, right? So we don't have that social need that we have in France. The same thing with Hungary, the same thing with Italy. But again, depending on the environmental triggers and the predators around, how friendly these dogs are depends on how we educate them in the very beginning. So the more populated area those dogs live, the more socialized they get. The more up in the mountains they are, the less getting socialized.
I had to mute myself because my Akbash is being very boisterous because
Oh,
my
the baby.
driveway is Grand Central Station right now. All right. And I don't, it figures the show was here, so let's get the dogs barking. But in my defense, the show's about dogs. You might hear some barking. Um, so let's fast forward since we're halfway through the show if we ended at 5. So somebody goes to a rescue and they adopt a Great Pyrenees mixed with an Akbash, say. Does that even make a difference? The breed mix? I
It
have an
does.
opinion.
It does.
It can.
In my it can affect, but what exactly is going to pop out, we don't know,
Mhm.
because it depends on not only the genetic structure, it depends also the dog experience, right? Just the breed alone doesn't make the dog. So even if you have two dogs from the same litter, the same age, the same sex, and they grow up in two different places with different experiences, they will show different behaviors at the end of the day.
But that isn't that from their past experiences?
Yes, from the past experiences plus the genetics. So the genetics
Right.
are the foundation, and then the
The breed
experiences will
traits.
make it more intense or less intense. So a
Right.
dog who's hypersensitive and you let him be sensitive without any restrictions, he's gonna be sensitive to everything,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And if you
And
have a
you got to
dog,
remember the livestock guardian breeds, there's a couple of misconceptions. One, they have cast iron stomachs. They do not. Two, they can handle anything. Well, yes and no. These are extremely emotional breeds. Extremely emotional. That's what makes them so good with sheep. They're sheepdogs. I remember these are sheepdogs, not chicken dogs, not goat dogs. They're sheepdogs
right, right,
because
dog
they
agrees.
can bond with the sheep. They can also bond with deer. I just read not too
Right.
long ago,
They can also bond with people.
and people
They,
obviously.
they bond, right,
Yeah, they can't bond with goats. Goats aren't a bondable breed in that respect.
right.
Goats are more predatory than they are anything. Chickens definitely. So chickens have a problem. If you put a Great Pyrenees with a chicken, expect them to have chicken dinner.
Yep.
If they don't, then okay, you got lucky. You want to ease into this, and not all guardian breeds are going to be okay with chickens because they charge the dogs. What do the dogs do when they're charged? They stand their ground. Okay,
And a
okay, I'll shut
chicken
up
can be
now.
tough.
Oh
Like if
man,
you
they
get
are.
hit
I've
with
been
a
bitten
rooster,
by
oh
chicken.
yeah,
Geese are worse.
yeah. And they have wings. And guardian breeds are basically programmed to not like wings flying around. Oh, we lost the host.
Oh, we did. I don't know what happened.
So that's one thing that I have to point out, since he's not here to stop me, is that when we have a puppy and we have chickens coming into the game, the puppy has to be desensitized and get social with those chickens. But also, you cannot just throw the puppy to the chickens, because the chickens will attack the puppy. What we have to pay attention to is start helping them feel safe with the movements the chicken do and the way they function, the way they do things with each other. And from that part, slowly, we can start integrating the puppy into the chicken environment by going together to feed the chickens, going out again, collect the eggs, have the dog with us. Right? And we cannot just lock the dog with the chickens. No. Okay, you're back.
Yeah, so Sir barks a lot.
So we had a
Now, he's an
chicken
Akbash.
conversation.
He's my Akbash, and the Great Pyrenees has that deep throaty bark to intimidate predators to stay away, humans to pee their pants, etc. Now the Akbash a little bit different. Their bark, I believe, can actually wake the dead. Okay, they've got a bark that carries, and they mean it. They still stand their ground. But they're not known, like the Great Pyrenees, to stay with the flock and protect them and move them if necessary. They will abandon the flock, eliminate the threat. Okay. And I believe there's only 2 of the breeds that will actually stay with the flock, and that's the Moreno Sheepdog and the Great Pyrenees. And now that was Melanie's turn. How many dogs do you have there, Melanie?
Right now, just 2, but we're supposed to go get
Oh.
another foster next week.
Okay, all right. And one's a German Shepherd, and the other one's a Great Pyrenees or whatever she is. Yep, there they are right there. Melanie had just lost one recently. She had 3. She had an older Great Pyrenees also. And that happens with older dogs. Sorry, it does happen.
Does
I
anyone
lost
have any
one.
questions?
I lost Zoe. Roman knew Zoe.
Yeah. So does any of the viewers have any questions?
I don't see any popping up yet. That's interesting. Does everybody know it all? Wow.
Okay.
That means no dogs should be returned, and me and Roman are going to go out of business.
So one thing as we talk about, one thing that people get confused is my dog is a livestock guardian dog, but I don't have any work for him right now. I'm going to adopt him out to somebody else, continue the job there. How will
That's
that
one
work
of the,
out?
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So first of all, we have to kind of make sure we understand how generalization works. Just because the dog
And
is
what
good
a
with
job
chicken and
means.
cats and kids doesn't mean in another place it will be good with cats and kids, because these are not family. Suddenly he loses his own family. He's going through a grief process. He wants to go back to his family, and now he's dealing with strangers. So all these people who adopt a dog are strangers, and the kids are strangers, and the cat is a predator, and the other goats are strangers, and the families are strangers. That dog doesn't know those people, and
Right.
doesn't know that breed.
And here's the bottom line. He doesn't know where he's at. He doesn't know why he's there. He doesn't know who you are. And most importantly, he doesn't know where his mom is, the person he trusted.
Right. So
Okay.
if we plug in out the dog from one place and plug him into the other place, we said again, it's not a plug and play. It will not plug in the same way it was plugged out.
Yep, that's
Which
right.
means the dog
And
has
just
to go in.
And
Right.
just because Melanie's dog gets along with her cat doesn't mean the dog's going to get along with your cat.
Right.
The cat, that just takes a little bit of time, but time really isn't what's at play here. It's events,
Well,
isn't it, Roman?
it's a sequence of events. If the dog doesn't create a secure bond with the person will not be able to introduce the cat.
The dog has to feel safe.
Right. But at the same time, if the dog hasn't had proper education as a puppy, how to create those bonds, he will have hard time bonding.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah. Good
So I
point.
work with
Damn good
people
point.
who needed to rehome the dogs, and there was no other option. So what we did is we trained the dog from scratch to learn how to build relationships, so he has a strong foundation to move to the other place and know how to build those relationships. And I know that
That's
sounds
right.
weird, but do dogs have a relationship? They relate with the goats, they relate with the predators. Who am I in a relationship? With you, and with the other, and I have to behave accordingly based on our relationship.
That's right. If you present yourself as a predator, they're going to treat you with suspicion.
Right. So if you want to be aggressive to a guardian breed, then expect aggression back.
That's right.
And if you raise a Pyrenees with aggression, then he's going to express aggression because he thinks that's the right thing to do. Right?
We
And
had
if
a
you
dog
yell at the
one time.
kids, yeah.
We had a dog with mountain mamas one time before it was actually mountain mamas. And he was evicted from the state of Wyoming. And here, yeah, that's a, who gets evicted from an entire state. But anyway, here's what had happened. The guy got a new Great Pyrenees. Okay. Dog came into the house. He went to approach him, had a treat in his hand. Dog went, "Grr," and he threw that treat and ran away. Approached him again, threw the treat. Dog growled, threw the treat, ran away. Pretty soon the dog thought he had to growl or show his teeth in order to get that treat. That's why he was thrown out of the state. He was deemed a dangerous dog. It was embedded in his microchip and everything. A dangerous dog, and he had never bitten anyone in his. He never had a bite history that was recorded.
Yeah.
And Judy, it wasn't Ashley. I'm sorry. It was Judy with Peer Rescue in Colorado. They got him, and he was adopted in about a week and a half because they reversed that problem right away because they didn't realize what actually caused it. They accidentally reversed it because he got a treat without growling. That is what normally a dog does, and he quickly went back to that. But yeah, he got evicted because he thought he was supposed to growl in order to get a treat.
Confusion.
That's right. To utter the confusion at its finest.
Yep.
So anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry, Roman. I had to share that.
There. Yep. So why does my Pyrenees behave differently on walks with my husband than with me? With my husband, he's more on alert and he wants to guard him. With me, he's relaxed and just a goofball. Well, good
Debbie
question.
has Ursus, and Ursus is an amazing dog, but he's still a Great Pyrenees, and he's still a dog.
I noticed over the years that guardian breeds are very sensitive, emotional sensitive. And if we have, I'm not talking about sex, I'm talking about energy, or the masculine and the feminine, right? A person who's very masculine, very direct, very structured, and is going out and making sure there's no problem happening, the dog will adapt that search and is going to adapt to that action. So if the husband goes out for a hunt and protection, the dog will go into a hunt and protection because that's what the group does. If he goes with the mother, who is loving and caring, very feminine, not woman, just feminine, with care and love, right? And oh, look at the baby and oh, the bird and all this stuff, and we're good and we're safe, and carry that safety with her, that dog will feel safe and it doesn't have to do those same behaviors. However, there is a flip side to that. If I'm loving and caring, but I'm concerned going outside and I'm vulnerable, then the dog is called in to be protective of that vulnerable person.
And people would confuse that for jealousy sometimes.
Right. So the dog is not always behaving on his own, he's also behaving based on the group dynamic and what message is being come across.
Yeah.
And of course, there's previous experience for that, right?
And then we call that feeding on the emotion at hand.
Right. So does emotion go through the leash? No. It goes through emotional exchange.
No, I wasn't expecting that one.
No, but the dog feels safe to be himself.
That's right. So he can bounce around, play around,
Right.
be a goofball
Because what we
because
want, what Deb is at that point, she's a safe haven. So the dog can be a goofball, explore and come back again. Like, oh, I'm gonna see this, that, I'm gonna look at that, I'm gonna look at this. Right?
right, and simply because your husband has a deeper voice and he's confident on the walk, that doesn't translate the same to the dog. Okay, the dog sees him as being on alert all the time, so the dog that puts the dog on alert.
Mhm. But also we see that husbands want to be very strict and they want to be very structured. And that can sometimes hit the wrong way to the dog because the more you take away that control, the less control the guardian dog has, the more unstable he becomes.
Right. Her husband is a really good guy, really
Okay.
awesome guy. All right. Is he strict? Well, yeah, aren't we all to some point? Okay. Do we have expectations? Yeah. I don't think he's got over expectations of his dogs. They fostered a lot of dogs, and but I believe you hit the nail on the head. It's his confidence that's putting Ursus on alert.
Right. We're just having general conversations. I'm not the person, I don't know the family,
I
the
understand.
dog, right?
Yeah.
But I see those different dynamics that can play a role of how the person takes the dog out for a walk, right? And how this can change. I've seen families from, him from same gender where we would expect, both of them are the same handlers, but they're different. Even though they have the same families, they behave differently with the dog and vice versa.
And this is, and what we just talked about right here should give you a good idea of why it's dangerous and reckless to go into a training group and ask questions and follow advice from somebody that does not have a profile on your dog.
Right. Well, that's
because
a good
there's
point.
so many different ways they can respond.
I feel that one of the most important pieces, if you want to help a dog or a person, is to create the behavior profile. Why the dog is doing that? What's his history? What's his medical history? What's his training history? What's his relationship history? Right? And if we don't have that mapping and that behavior profile, we don't know what we're dealing with. And guardian breeds, in general, all the dogs, is not something you can take out of a shelf and says, oh, this is a dog, page number 35, guardian breeds, this is what you have to do.
Now, so basically what this amounts to is basically he's got the human side of the story, so now he needs the dog side of the story. That's how you build a behavior profile for a dog. And and that's really, really important, because anything else, what happens if you answer a question, they put it to work and it backfires because you didn't have a profile, because you missed the reasoning. Okay. So
we see very often,
be careful of those groups.
People say, my dog resource card, and you see 150 advices. Wait a minute.
Yeah. Some of them are very scary advice.
Like, the simple thing, especially for guardian breeds have a different metabolic system. They need more food. They need more energy in the winter, but also in the summer. And if it's a puppy, it's growing. He cannot
and
eat
learning.
too much. And learning is doing too much, right? So it can happen that a dog is underfed with low quality ingredients, and he is resource cutting because he lacks on nutrients. And it's not the dog's fault.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. Nutrients are extremely important, because you don't want, while you're teaching your dog, if your dog's distracted, well, he's not going to learn at least the same way. And make no mistake, if your dog is continually hungry, that is a distraction.
Right. And resource cutting can also be a learned behavior. So if a puppy grows up with parents who are resource cutting, he's going to adapt from that behavior and he's going to replicate that.
Yep, that's right.
If he has to fight about dog food in the kennel or in the barn with other animals, and the only way to get his food right is kind of guarding, of course he's going to behave that way, and he's going to help.
He's intertwined into all the lighting, okay? And I'm getting a little nervous here. So if you hear crash banging and my background goes away, you'll know Pickles took the lights out, okay?
Got it.
So, because he doesn't know to step completely over these cords that should be under a rug. Okay, watch out, boy. Okay, this is going to get humorous here. All right, now you can go, big guy. There you go. Now you can go. Oh, I don't want to go now. Now, what I'm doing here, do you see what I'm doing?
Nope.
He didn't. Well, you can't because background. He wanted to go through here, and instead of telling him he can't, because he wanted to lay down right back there.
Right.
So instead of telling him he can't and disappear like you just did, I created a situation that allowed him to continue to move forward.
Smart.
Okay. All right. And because this isn't normal with what's set up, this only happens once a week. Okay?
Right.
And you never heard me once say no. That's
No.
a very confusing word to a dog.
Yes.
How many definitions do we have for that one little word? No, don't pee there. No, don't go poop on that. Get off no, don't get on my bed. No, don't get on the couch. That's all different definitions. Okay. And besides that, there's no action. You're going to have better luck if you teach your dog a cue word that has an action that goes with it so he can make that association.
Let's do a test.
Okay.
Don't think on an elephant. Do not think about an elephant. Don't think on it. What do you think for? So if I tell you don't do it, it doesn't tell you what to do instead.
That's right.
But if I tell you think on a bird, you will not never think on an elephant because now you're thinking on a bird.
That's right.
So if a dog does something and you say no,
persuasion. That's
it
power
doesn't take
persuasion.
that as to undo it.
Right.
If you don't want the dog to do something, give him something else to do.
There's something else people don't realize that some dogs, a lot of dogs, when you say sit, they may not have a clue what you're saying. It could be something that goes with the word is what they're associating. Like when you say sit, you go sit. You just moved your arm. Or if you say sit, you move forward just a little bit. That's what they're responding to sometimes.
Well, it's a great point because I will ask a question. What does sit for the dog mean? What does down mean? And what standing means? These are all specific behaviors that are directly connected with felt safety.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, sit is unnatural for a dog too, by the way.
I wouldn't say it's unnatural because dog will sit on its own.
But not all the time. Usually a dog will go from standing to plopping down, laying down.
Yes, I would say yes. But also if you look guardian breeds around, they sit.
Yeah. Now they will sit.
But they will elevate absolutely. So they can watch around.
And they'll sit on a mound too.
Right.
Or
so I would say
couch.
Sitting and laying down and standing are directly related to felt safety.
Mm-hmm.
If the dog feels comfortable and safe, he's going to lay down. If the dog is like, I don't know about that, I must be ready to get in or out, he's going to sit. And if he doesn't feel safe, he's going to stand.
Right. You notice how often Roman's using that word feeling safe, safe this, safe that? That is for a reason. Because if your dog doesn't feel safe with you, you got some work to do. Okay? That means you need to change the way you're doing something or looking at something or feeling about something. Because if your dog doesn't feel safe with you, especially a dog you've had for a while. Now, a new dog, that's your goal. That's your first goal, is to help that dog feel safe. And just because you think he's feeling safe doesn't mean he's feeling safe. Okay.
And it's not always the people's fault, because if I get a puppy that was bred in not safe environment, we have a chronic stress and we have a trauma that comes in with the puppy before he was born. Right. So, but again, no matter what the situation is, our main goal is for the puppy to feel safe. And why it's important for guardian breeds? What are they protecting? Safety.
Yep. That's right.
The main function is to keep safety safe.
That's right. All the way down to food aggression.
Right.
Because sometimes guarding the food really may not be about the food at that time. It could be the food was the last straw that broke the camel's back, possibly. Okay, but that could be trigger stacking.
We want to clarify something like off the bat, and it's
Oh, it's probably
non-negotiable.
food.
Non-negotiable, right?
Right.
Resource guarding is not a guardian breed trait.
No, it's not.
It's a species trait.
That's
All
right.
dogs may show resource guarding, from a Chihuahua to a Great Dane. And it's a natural behavior because as a species, they are opportunistic scavenging predators, which
And
means
food is vital to
they,
their survival.
right? They find food, they have to get it before somebody else is getting it because
That's
they
right.
don't want to kill.
That's right.
Okay.
So this isn't breed specific in any way.
No, but wolves are family oriented. They have a strict family order. Everybody knows when to eat and when not to eat because it's already established. They don't have to resource guard, but dogs do.
That's right.
So
Now let that sink in. Say that again for me with the wolves.
wolves, because of their family structure and because of their order they have, that respectful order with each other.
Their hierarchy, if you
they
may.
don't have, this family hierarchy. They don't have to resource guard because everything is already mapped out. But
That's
for
right.
dogs, they usually have to search for food and get it before somebody else get it. That resource guarding is natural behavior.
And guess what else too? You remember the alpha stuff and the pack crap? Well, did you know that the wolves was discovered by the same man that published the wolf pack theory? It was discovered that they weren't fighting for this. It was simply mating. There was no fighting for all of this. It was kind of just happened. It wasn't intended either. That's a human thing. We put in our heads, not theirs.
Well, if we want to see the dominance hierarchy in function, I'm sorry for the New Yorkers, but they have most elevators. If you put 5 New Yorkers in an elevator and take their phones away, at some point there's going to be something happening there.
Yeah.
If somebody observes it, then we can say that's dominance hierarchy. Whoever is the strongest one is the one who survives in that elevator.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah.
But we see if we have a stack of wild animals being in a cage, that's what the theory came up. They didn't know exactly how wolves function in real life. These are all wolves from different family systems being packed in a situation. Of course, they're going to fight for survival because they don't know what else to do.
A few years ago, there was some footage that was on our news, one of our local news channels, of a gray wolf, or it looked gray, grainy video. It was from trail cams, and then a drone afterwards. This wolf went into a person's backyard, stole the dog's toy, and left. And that's when the drone went up in the air and followed him back to an area that lost him. And it was able to get a little bit of an inside view, but not much. But basically, this wolf, they don't know if it was a male or a female, went out and stole a toy, took it back to his cubs. They got this on video.
Wow.
Yep.
That's so cool.
Little thief. And, there was no fighting. There was no anything like that. Wolves are actually social family animals, is what it turned out to be.
They're very social.
So why are we still calling dogs and wolves and everything pack animals? Did you know David Meach, the man that published the wolf pack theory and then debunked it, and then eventually unpublished his own book? All right. Eventually, I think just a few years ago, I think I read that. But if you ask him any question today about a dog, he's going to tell you, I don't know. I study wolves. Yeah. They're not related.
But all these other guys who know everything about dogs know everything about wolves.
Yeah.
Weird, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. And these are the same people that say that these people with PhDs and studied the animals all their lives. I have a master's degree, studied animals. I've studied one breed for 41 years. And they're saying that I don't know what I'm doing. They're saying that Linda Michaels doesn't know what she's doing. They're saying these people even went as far as Ian Dunbar. All right. Now, make no mistake, Ian's not a scientist. Okay. He never claimed to be. All right. And does he use aversive methods? Not anymore. And he hasn't for years. Okay. So Roman's a recovering aversive trainer. You've heard of recovering alcoholics? He's got the number of days that he has not used aversive methods.
And people
How
make
about
fun of
that?
it. Like, I
You
don't know.
get chips. I'm not making fun of it. I'm serious. I think we should create a system to where they can actually do something similar to Alcoholics Anonymous. That I read about that. They get chips of so many days and then years and whatever.
Well, thinking
Because this
back,
is a sickness. If you I'm going to tell you the same thing I tell anybody. Only a fool would put a shock collar on a livestock guardian breed.
but I have to think of the people who have a need to feel safe.
Mhm.
They will do it at any cost.
That's
And
right.
they will not hesitate to do something that makes them feel safe, even if it's for disadvantage to the dog.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
it's short
There's
lived.
two things. There's a couple things you got to remember. Okay, I've been doing this for 41 years. I'm closing in on 13,000 dogs I've worked with. Okay, and I've never ever needed any kind of outside tools except a leash, and that's not an adversity. They're trying to say leashes are bad now. What? What? This sounds more like an agenda.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, and it's being funded actually, and but I never needed anything like that. Would I have used it if I felt I needed it? No, because I had an advantage over a lot of people. I had education, okay, formal education, and I was able to continue to sort this out, okay? So, no, I would not have used any kind of a prong or shock collar in the end. I came home one day with one of my dogs 15 years ago. My wife had a gentle leader around his nose. And I saw that, and I saw him going like this, trying to get it off. And my first question, I says, "What are you doing? What makes you think that he approves of that?"
Right, right.
That was how I asked. That's how I put it. I says, "He's trying to take it off, and he's adamant he wants that off." Blizz was 145-pound Great Pyrenees, and so I says, "Why did you do that?" Because I'm too small to walk him. Wait a minute. Size has nothing to do with you walking the dog.
True.
If your 3 foot sacred personal space is your dog's safe place, there's not going to be any reason for your dog to pull you on the leash. That's what you have to create, is a safe environment for the dog to walk with you.
Right, right.
What caught you off guard? You didn't know I knew that, did you, Roman?
Of course I know you know it. But we're not making assumptions that everybody else knows it, because obviously it seems nobody
not
knows
at
about
all.
that. So we're sharing things. And if you know about things, then great. Say, yes, I knew it because I know how to do it. But some people don't. And
That's
there's
right.
a lot of miscommunication out there. So the
And
first thing I
always
see was
remember,
people. Go ahead.
always remember, Roman and I can speak for Roman on this one, neither one of us walk on water either. We don't know it all. Did you know that just the other day I was watching my dogs out back, and I looked at that and I thought, wow, that was new. Something they did. Okay. So they're biological beings. They're capable of evolving.
Yes, they do. They
Yeah.
not
Thank
only
you.
evolve biologically, they also evolve spiritually. And yes, dog has
That's right.
spirituality,
That's right. Well, they have to. God created them.
right?
Now, we do have a question.
Do we?
What happens when you bring a rescue dog into the home and something goes wrong? Okay, well, naturally, call your rescue and don't say, "Get this dog out of here." Ask for help first. Okay, because if something goes wrong in the first few days of having that dog, we need to just step back and get out of the picture and give the dog some room here to be able to sort through something that maybe he can fix on his own. Okay,
We
like
have to be
cats and
careful.
dogs.
We have to be careful. If people get frustrated, they have certain expectations in their mind. They want this fluffy dog they saw with the neighbor. They saw this fluffy dog they saw in the image. In their mind, they want a no problem dog. And that's what
Yeah,
they aim,
plug and
right?
play.
And
Plug and
then
play.
I love to have an expensive car. until I stopped to the first gas station, see how much money it costs to fill it in, and then how much the mechanic costs. I'm like, I want to get rid of the car. Now, when we bring dogs in the home, when we have those expectations and that doesn't add up, it doesn't mean that you went wrong, but we can still adjust. The dog has to adjust, and the people have to adjust. But one thing I cannot tolerate is I get the dog because my kid asked me about it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I gave him one for Christmas.
What's happening if the kid asks you for a car? Gonna buy a car? Like,
how about an airplane?
Right? So a child that doesn't have a responsibility over the dog cannot make decisions what dog we're going to bring home. Because the child is, as much as we want to teach the child how to take care of the dog, it's not the child's responsibility. It's still a child. He doesn't have any parenting skills. We have parenting skills, and we should parent the kid, and we should have to parent the dog. So if you want to bring a dog for your kid, I would think about twice, because you're going to have 2 kids to care for.
And always remember, the dog is new. He's going to be upside down. Okay, how about we use the word destabilized? Okay, and they rely heavily on stability. They're boundaries breeds. Okay, and so they protect their boundaries and all the contents. You want to know? I get calls more than you think about I went to let my dog out onto the patio, and he stopped halfway in and halfway out, and just started barking and barking and barking and barking and barking, wouldn't move, and barking and barking and barking. And I say, okay, what changed? What was there that's no longer there? Or what is there that wasn't there before? And 9 times out of 10, they have a plant there under their awning, and it's a sunny day, and they moved it out to the sun, and now Mr. Rain Man won't go past it. Because it's off.
And today, from a lady who her dog started barking in the living room, and they didn't know why. And the dog was looking up, and the ceiling fan was running.
That's right.
And people wouldn't understand why it's a ceiling fan. I said, zoom out a little bit. What do you see? A thing that has wings and flies around. What do you think expect the dog to see there, other than a thing flying around?
Prey. It's a bird of prey.
Right.
And the number one predator in this country for Great Pyrenees are birds of prey. Yeah. And threats come from above. And guess what?
Wings.
We're also taller than they are, and threats come from above. So, and then we reach over the top of their head to pet them. Oh, you're so pretty. And then we get our face bit off. Gee. How about we go from the heart line and come up with petting maybe? All right. How about we take some of the triggers and unstack them a little bit, like the height, sit down, take that height out, let him approach you. Don't you approach the dog, let the dog approach you. All right. And you got to remember, this is all done if you are comfortable. You have to be comfortable with all of this. Okay. Especially if it's not your dog, if you're visiting somewhere. We have a document we wrote up called the Peer Parents Rules for Visitors. And basically it says, don't look at my dog, don't talk to my dog, don't touch my dog. And just because my dog approaches you doesn't mean they want to be touched. Why is that, Roman? Don't look at my dog. Because if you stare at them, they're going to feel threatened. That's focus. And then if you add verbal to it, that could be enough right there to put them over the line.
Right.
Okay. All right. And then touching them. They want to sniff you. They got to process you. The only way to do that is to sniff you. And when they approach you, what happens if you reach out? Oh, he's coming. I'm going to pet him. That dog stops and puts it in reverse. Doesn't get to process you because you ran him off by thinking he wanted to be touched. So that document is a very, very successful document, and because it's so important. All right. Anything to add to that, Roman?
Yeah.
Because you helped, believe it or not, you helped write it and don't even know it.
Well, if somebody wants that document, put me in your comments, and we're going to send it.
There you go. I have a lot of documents. Roman has a lot of documents. Roman had a lot of videos that he used to do on Facebook, and Facebook, there's a problem now with Facebook. Facebook has decided that live videos don't mean anything to anybody anymore. And after 30 days, they're deleting them. the show gets deleted, which is why the show now streams to more YouTube channels than we do Facebook pages. Okay. And until Facebook changes that, we may end up, well, these are our 3 core rescues that have good, strong Facebook pages and actually let us stream to it. Right? And the Great Pyrenees Rescue Society and Great Pyrenees Rescue Resources, Utah, Montana. And then we do New Hope's page, but New Hope Behavior Consultants for the Guardians, that is the home of the rescue show. And matter of fact, the vice president of New Hope is right up there in the upper right-hand corner up there. All right. And Melanie's the vice president. So, but we have to make sure we meet the dog's needs. When you first bring your dog into your home, let's not boss him around. Let's not expect obedience out of there because you got the wrong breed to start with. Don't make them do something for you. Try make them want to do something for you. Okay. And see if that makes a difference. But you need to get them to feel safe. And ultimately, you want them to feel safe in your little sacred personal space around you. Go ahead, Roman.
See at the very bottom of that says,
the hierarchy of dog needs. And we got more comments. Oh, I don't know what Rena wrote. I think she has a typo there.
Yes, it was yes. She agrees with you.
Yeah, and you're very welcome for the show. And let's see a show of hands or whatever you want to call it. If you want Roman to do this again, and if there's a topic you would like to have Roman cover, and we will make sure we focus on it, then Roman would cover that topic, and maybe we can get Roman to agree to come back on for another special. Okay. And, granted, we like to see dogs on and stuff, and that's why a lot of you come here, but behavior is real. Okay. And there is help out there. There is.
Well, we can do the following. If somebody of the viewers can capture behavior that's like, why is my dog doing that? And
there you go.
Why would, right? We can then take that video, analyze it, and people can learn from it.
And because here's what will happen with that video. We'll get the dog side of the story through body language, movements, reaction. It could take 2 videos, could take 3, could take 1, but the key to this is the video. That's the next best thing short of us being there. Okay. And now Roman does in-person work, but you'd have to travel to Greece.
Well, I do online work a lot.
Online work is extremely successful. Sometimes it's not for everybody, but then when it's not, I'm in the U.S. still, so usually I'll go there. All right, New Hope does have a small fund, or we can do a fundraiser to let me travel to the dog if necessary. That happens sometimes, not all the time, because we're getting better and better at virtual. Roman introduced me to virtual, in 2013?
Yeah, I'm doing this since 2009.
Yeah. And my first dog ever, he just passed away, a year and a half ago. His name was Leo down in Alabama, I think. And Roman was watching over my shoulder, supervising the virtual. I had never done that before, and I didn't think it was possible. Okay. Because I had to be with every dog, and I would come back from 2 weeks of working with a dog or something, and Roman had worked with 20 already. And how the heck you do that? And back then the platform was called Blab. Remember that, Roman?
It was Skype.
No, Skype took over Blab in the end.
I did it.
But you used Blab.
Yeah, I use Blab for life.
Okay.
But I use Zoom, Skype for my clients. And then
but Skype has now been, they've defunded Skype.
Yeah.
It's gone now.
Yeah.
And StreamYard has been priced out of most people's price range.
Yeah.
This is our last term using StreamYard. When it expires in July, we will have another option. We're hoping it's OneStream Live, but man, they seem to be dragging their feet. We need co-host capabilities, obviously, for production and co-hosting, because we have believe it or not, a pretty good sized production here.
Yeah.
But and StreamYard's the only one that offers co-host. Now, since you're in Greece, what time is it in Athens? Out there where you are?
It's 15 minutes past midnight.
How about that? Now I'm tired. Thanks, Roman. Wow, thank you, Roman, for coming on, and hopefully we can get some responses, and let's get you back on with a topic of at their request. If you want Roman to talk about a topic, or like Roman said, give us some video. You can, let's see, what do we do with video? You can send video to info@newhopepyrs.org or to my email, steve@newhopepyrs.org. I can't make a OneDrive folder unless Melanie knows how to do it that has general access safely like that. Is there, Melanie?
Well, we can do it with Google Drive. I'll set one up that we can have as a shared.
I meant Google Drive. Okay, let's do that. We'll set up a rescue show Google Drive folder. We pay for an ungodly amount of storage up there on Google Drive for New Hope, so we can do stuff like this. All right. What do we have? 100 terabytes, Melanie?
More than we'll ever use.
Yeah. I just don't have to delete them as fast or download them as fast. My server is only 52 terabytes.
Wow.
But oh yeah, 52 terabytes. I'm working hard on getting you access to it. Roman has had a problem when he moved from the U.S. to Greece. Google got mad at him.
No, my
YouTube.
Google Map.
Oh no, YouTube got mad at you, which is Google.
No, I don't have a problem with YouTube. I had a problem
I
with
thought
Google
you had
Map.
a problem with YouTube.
No,
It
I
was just
wanted
Google
to
Maps.
transfer my company because I had like 150 5-star reviews. I want to take
Oh,
it with
okay.
me. And like, no,
Gotcha.
delete.
So all those YouTube videos, you still have your YouTube channel?
Yeah, I do.
Oh boy, I can sleep again tonight. I thought you said you lost YouTube.
No.
Oh, thank goodness. But anyway, Roman's having issues with his website, and we are going to be working hard in here this next week or so to fix that one way or another. Okay, either redirect it to give him a page on our website through his own email. We'll figure something out here. Melanie's just now hearing about that. She's saying, "Really? When were you going to tell me?" We just did.
Good. So if
Roman needs a hand. His website's screwed. Unless, do you do WordPress, Melanie? That's what got him.
Our old school website was WordPress, so I've done it some, but I'm not going to say I'm the most familiar with it.
Okay. Now, if one of the viewers does WordPress, now keep in mind he's already spent over $5,000. Okay, trying to get his
Are we
website.
talking about the website here or about the Pyrenees?
Both. That has
okay.
to do with your website.
Oh,
You need a hand with that website, and
That's
all I
okay.
was going to do is a patch job because I don't know WordPress. Okay. Anyway, enough technical crap. We have people fleeing this show right now. So
Right.
all right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Next week we have an amazing show. Well, be coming lined up. Sydney will be here hosting with us. Everybody loves Sydney, and she's got some stuff up her sleeve too. So. All right. Now, before I do this, let me make sure I screwed up because I didn't have the intro into the automatic, but I do have the outro in. All right, everybody. See you next week. Bye now.